Hi, my name is Gabriela from Tulip Art Designs, and you are welcome back to my creative channel. Here I am giving you watercolor sketching ideas, tips and tricks, and if you just need a little bit of help to fill your free time with something fun, then you are on the right place. Now we are doing the 100 watercolor sketches. This is a creative challenge I just started for myself. Now we are making the 7th illustration in our sketchbooks, and if you miss any of the previous sketches, you can find them on the channel. And if you need the templates to start up easier, then you can check out my Patreon, where I share extra tutorials plus all the outlines templates for the projects we are making. Now let's just see what we have on the page. So let me show you what we have on the page. I have a nice lavender bouquet in this small lamp here, and it's just hanging. I'm really loving it, so I can't wait to show you how I make it. Before I start, I already sketched with my pencil, and if you need also a startup page, find it on my Patreon. Otherwise, I have my sketchbook. It's a watercolor sketchbook, and I use the one that is cold press. I just like the texture of the paper. Then I have my watercolors. I'm using my Mary Blue. Any watercolor you have will be fine. Then I have a drawing pen. It's a water resistant, which means that after we sketch with the pen and we add watercolor on it, the black lines will not bleed. So that's definitely what you need. I have a Jelly Roll pen to add some white highlights in the end. Of course, the watercolor brush. For our paints, I'm using a round brush, number 10. Maybe number size 8 will be fine as well. Then I have paper towel. Well, this is just a normal towel, some water, and I have a heat gun here to speed up my process, but it's not really necessary. Now the first step is to ink the sketch. I really like the sketchy style, and I will start inking this illustration. I don't know why, but this, how do you say it? This face of my sketches is so relaxing, because I already figured out what I want to put on my page, and then I just ink. I follow my lines. The pencil sketch is really rough, but then with this ink drawing pen I can definitely make my lines. I can change them and really choose the way I want them to look. So what I mean by this is, if you think that you really like a very smooth lines, you can definitely draw very smooth. I just go back and forth with my pen, which will create more kind of a sketchy style. I also like to add thickness only on one side, so it will create like a 3D dimensional illustration. And then with my lavenders, I am really going very sketchy, so you can just make one line, and then this little should I call them petals or little small leaves, and then we go with one line, and we can also make them in groups, so with a small branch to the side, just like this. So it's really, I find these flowers quite inspiring and nice to sketch, but I am definitely not trying to recreate a realistic illustration here. Okay, it's more about, okay, I want to sketch a very quick, just, you know, to have some fun. So we really need to let this perfection go, and to sketch. And maybe sometimes the lines will be too rough, maybe they will be really not what we expected, but it's gonna be fine. And if you have the template, you can definitely just trace the lines and play with the watercolor after that. I have a video for how to transfer outlines on a watercolor paper, so in case you need this, it's in the description below. You have a few ways to transfer these lines, so you really don't need to print these templates if you want to use them. Something like this, and then one more here. So sometimes I am not even finishing my lines, they are really dashed and sketchy. So this one here will be like a double, so it looks like these long grasses, and then maybe some long leaves, just like this. Okay, maybe I will add a few more here to make it just a bit more busy in some areas. A nice leaf, maybe one more lavenders. I really like these little flowers. And what's really important for sketching is, yeah, we don't have to pick something very hard to sketch. We can really simplify the objects we see, and we can definitely make it work, because I hear very often that, yeah, some of us, we just don't start because it looks hard. And I definitely get this. For quite some time I was sketching only leaves using simple lines, and I was just scared to jump into different objects and styles. But actually that was the moment when I really get creative, and when I realized that I really want to show you different things. So these illustrations are quite challenging sometimes, but also very, very nice, and they definitely give the opportunity to explore watercolor, because we don't want to spend some money on supplies and then be afraid to use them. So better find different projects to do that. Okay, maybe some grasses like this, also here. So I'm just adding some random lines to make it look like there are a lot of things here. So let's just sketch our small rope here that is keeping the lamp hanging, and then some of the branches are just going inside like this. And of course we will need some water probably, so I'm just sketching lines in all different directions, and maybe also like this, because we have quite a lot of things, and some grasses and some leaves, and so I'm just filling this whole thing, and then maybe some water which will be horizontal here. All right, I think that's with the sketch. I will erase all the pencil lines, because once we add watercolor we don't want to have the pencil lines, or at least I don't. So I will erase them now. The problem with watercolor is that when we add it on top of it, it works as a mask for the lines and we can't really erase them. So that's why I just wanted to erase them now. Of course, I have the big mess here. That's gonna be fine. Okay, now I don't have any purple on my palette here. Maybe I will make my ultimate watercolor palette. Let me know if you want to see the process of how I'm creating it, but until then I don't have a purple here, so I will create some. I want some rose lake I have here. You can use magenta and some blue. So I have this nice purple. Of course, if you add extra blue, then it will be more blue purple or more to the red. So it really depends what is the proportion of the two colors you are using. I think that's kind of a nice one. And then what I want to do is just, I will add some brush strokes, but I'm really only tapping around, and I don't even try to follow the lines completely. And at some point maybe this will bother me a little bit, but now I really try to let it go and enjoy the process and how this watercolor is creating different shapes, just because the brush is a little bit bigger, and then I have all these little brush strokes, and it's already fine. Maybe you will feel like you are losing the shape of the lavenders, but that's okay. We will add some Jelly Roll pen. We will add white with the Jelly Roll pen in the end, so we will bring back these shapes. Don't be stressed or worried. So I'm literally tapping on my page with the brush and not even trying to make perfect shapes. Then if you want to add a little bit of darkness, I really like to do this while my first layer is still wet, so the paint will bleed around. It really creates kind of a magic when we use wet in wet technique, it's called, which means that we use wet paint on a wet surface, so actually the paint bleeds around and creates nice values of the cover. And you can also wait for this first layer to dry. It's quite warm in here actually, so my first layer is drying quite quickly. So I can take darker and have these different layers to create deepness in my sketch. But I still don't try to paint realistic lavender, okay? I am only tapping, trying to follow my sketch, but I'm also not trying to paint into the lines. So I'm just playing around, okay? And once we allow ourselves to really play around, that's the moment when we will start really enjoying this process, sometimes even messy, because yeah, it can get messy. Okay, I will let this dry until it's drying. I will just add water here on my little lamp. And I know it's hard to paint glass because it's transparent. I will just use here, let me just turn this. I have some Payne's Gray and I will use Payne's Gray, but then I will add lots of water so it will be very transparent. And then I will add some just around the edges, here where my water is supposed to be, with a few horizontal lines. I can take some more concentrated paint and just add it around the edges. You can see how this paint just bleeds. For me, that's quite satisfying. I really don't want to focus on the shape so much, but I just let this paint does its job. I will take more of this paint and add it here as well. I believe that's kind of a metal part, and then more of this paint, but then really concentrate it to make it darker. So I just tap with my brush while it's still wet and it bleeds. We have different values of the color, which means we have some darker ones and we have some light ones. I try to make it darker on the both sides, so it will create the feeling that this has a round shape. Now this is almost dry, not completely, but I can work with it. I will take some Hooker's green and green gold and I will mix them in one. You can use sap green or any green you like. I just really like mixing my two greens here. Olive green is also very nice. Okay, and then I will just make a few lines. Then also will paint my leaves. And here I try to follow my ink lines. Sometimes it just doesn't work, but that's okay. I will try to make, only using the tip of my brush, a few long lines like this. For the leaves, I sometimes start with the tip, push a little bit and then release again so it creates nice leaves with only one go with the brush. So that's also kind of a nice. I will take a bit more of this paint to add a little bit darker tone, so it will create a little bit of deepness. If my first lines are still wet, my green will bleed, but I'm fine with this. I really don't try to make it perfectly, but I am only sketching. So sketching is about exploring, trying, making a mess, and the mess can be organized. So even if we are not happy in the beginning, don't just give up in the middle of your sketch, because every sketch has this ugly face. And this ugly face can really scares us, but don't let this happen, okay? It's only a face and it will be okay. And once you continue and keep adding a little bit of layers and a little bit of light and shadows, then it's gonna be fine. Now I really love to finish my sketches with a few splatters, so I will use some of the purple here and just splash like this on both sides. I have a little bit of the splatters in my leaves and also here. I will leave it like this. I think I will call it done with the watercolor. We'll dry it and I will add a little bit of the Jelly Roll pen. Okay, now that this is dry, I think I need this page to cool down a little bit because I just used the heat gun, and I need this to be a little bit cooler so it will not dry off my pen. But where I am adding Jelly Roll pen lines and how much, so I don't want to re-sketch the whole thing because then it will look too fake. What I want to do is just add some highlights, and I want a nice contrast, so I am adding white lines where I have darkest moments. So let's say here I will just add quickly just some sketchy lines to create nice contrast like this, and also maybe for the water. And I will do here on the side, it's like light reflection. Let's add one here. So here I am just adding an extra lines to make it thicker. Okay, let me see if you can see better like this. Then for all the lavenders I can go inside and make such small leaves. You can also use bleed proof white or gouache for this and paint. I just find it nicer for me to use the pen and really go quickly adding some nice detail lines. You can definitely try the bleed proof white or the gouache and see what will be the difference. Maybe you will like using gouache more than just the pen. It's also a good point if you can leave white spots from the beginning. I'm not really good at this. As you can see, my lavenders are all covered in purple. so I didn't leave any white spots. But as you can see, of course, we can fix this by adding them after we are ready with the watercolor. So everything is fixable. We can definitely fix any mistake we make. So this is why I really love watercolor sketching. Like this. And I'm going a bit sketchy. Maybe sometimes I'm not repeating the same lines, but that's okay. Just adding some highlights. Some of my leaves are bigger and some are smaller, just like this. Maybe here for the leaf, if it's visible. All right, I think that's it for today. So that was it for today. Thank you very much for joining and watching my video. I hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe for my channel so you will not miss any of the coming videos. Check out my Patreon for all the outlines, of course, some extra exclusive monthly 3 per month watercolor sketching classes. Check out the other social media platforms where I am sharing tons of content, and I can see you for the next illustration. Bye!